Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the program, Morning Ride. My name is Francis Ofulue. Saying you once again welcome on behalf of the board management and staff of this wonderful station. And here with me this morning is Blessing Usiagbada. Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, Francis. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this cool Wednesday morning on Morning Ride. The ride promises to be informing, informative, educative, and entertaining.
Well, not so entertaining was Nigerians yesterday when the whole story about cybersecurity and the monies added, or the 0.5% tax, as I like to put it, for cybersecurity occurred yesterday. Many Nigerians were very bewildered, many of them annoyed.
Yes, indeed, it's. I won't want to say entertaining. You say it was not entertaining,
It was
but
entertaining. No.
somehow it's beginning to look entertaining because for a government that keeps saying, oh, they feel the pains of Nigerians, they are working towards reducing the pain, ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians, and they keep coming up with these policies that is almost strangulating Nigerians. It is funny. It is funny for the presidency or the government at the federal level to come out to say, oh, Nigerians are really going through a lot. And at the same time, you are putting Nigerians through a whole lot.
Well, I've listened to some economic expert. I'm not the expert here, but some of them, I've had a few of them saying that, okay, it's apt actually. There's been so many things going wrong with the economy as far as cybersecurity is concerned. And if spoken about how, notice recently, fintech, most of those banks around there were put on serious probation. They were asked to mind how they're taking new customers and the rest of them.
Okay.
There's been caution all around there.
Yes.
And then that just has things around cybersecurity. That particular law has been there since 2015. That was when it was actually, the conversation was had at the House of the Legislative House in Nigeria.
Okay.
But afterwards, fast forward to later on, the law tilted down until now. The question people are asking is, no matter how apt this law is, just like you are empathizing with Nigerians, no matter how apt this law is, why now when things are hard, when we have the 3% inflation rate, when we have price of food skyrocketing, when we have everything going abysmal, when subsidy has been removed, why now? That's the insensitivity of government that people are complaining about.
The problem I have with the government is that they just come up with these policies without explaining to the citizens what this is all about. Even the CBN has not come out to really explain that this is how it ought to be. The question is, the Nigerians, the citizens, is it their responsibility to actually pay for cybersecurity? That's what we need to ask. Is it really the responsibilities of the citizens to pay for cybersecurity? We need to know these things. And if you look at the rates, it's something that I feel if business analysts are coming out to say it is apt, then they should come out
Some of them,
and
not all
some
of
of them should come out and explain to Nigerians what this cybersecurity tax is all about and how it will help us. Because even with the linking of your SMS to your BVN to your SMS to your NIN and to the CBA came out to say that is part of their own way of securing your accounts. But we still heard of cases of people being duped even after linking their phone numbers to their NIN. So these are the things. It's not about coming up with policies. It's how does this policy affect the citizens, and what benefit will it be to the citizens?
They talk about the whole figures, yeah. People are complaining. I have some lists here with me. The cybersecurity levy has 5 naira to 1,000 naira will take 5 naira from your account, 10,000 naira, 15 naira, 100,000 naira, 500 naira. There's also stamp duty as well. And there's transfer fees that senders will bear at the same time. There's also a VAT, value added tax, there as well for customers.
You've not talked about card maintenance.
Card maintenance and all the numerous text messages you get of debits going on here and there. One of the first thing, and I love the point that you brought up, the fact that there is poor communication from the federal government vis-a-vis the NSA to Nigerians. This is not something you should just start up with a snap of the finger, send a circular, and the average Nigerian would be apprehensive, knowing how things are difficult in the country. So there should have been proper communication. When I say communication, I mean there should have been advocacy visits here and there. There should have been advertorials all over the media, whether it's the press and the rest. And there are exemptions of this particular tax to be deducted, actually. People don't even know those exemptions. Some of them even include account numbers that you normally transfer monies to, or it doesn't affect intra-bank transfers. So people don't even know these exceptions. But if it was well communicated to Nigerians, I'm sure that by now, maybe people would have been calm. Let's not forget, Blessing, that during 2012, when Goodluck Jonathan came up with the whole remove the fuel subsidy, Nigerians went very annoyed. Everyone went gaga about it. People complained, bemoaned. Everyone wanted to just stop it at the same time. Fast forward to later on, years after, 2023 rather, we had the president declaring subsidy as his inaugural speech, as part of his inaugural speech. It tells you that sometimes you just have to understand the concept of something before you go around and criticize it. But most importantly, what Goodluck failed to do back then was to educate Nigerians thoroughly on why subsidy should have been removed. In the same vein, the NSA has failed to educate Nigerians properly. Not after you've built this out and you're apprehensive, you start trying to explain to Nigerians.
Aside from communication too, why come up with a policy today and insist that it should be implemented immediately?
2 weeks time.
No, but banks have instructed, the CBN has instructed banks to start.
But the circular said in 2 weeks time, so that would be
it's too soon. Aside from communication, it is too soon, and the timing is totally wrong. Nigerians are going through a lot. We're battling with the high cost of fuel scarcity in some areas. If you go to petrol stations, you see the long queue because there's panic buying. We're talking about electricity tariff and now cybersecurity tax, or whatever the CBN wants to call it.
Well, if you ask me, this now means that the NSA, if it happens eventually, because I've seen many groups already trying to come around to campaign against it. If somehow in 2 weeks' time or a month's time this becomes the order of the day, then we should hold the NSA responsible anytime we have any kind of cyber crime on our account.
Exactly
it means that this is some form of insurance. So
that what will happen?
They should pay back the money. If I lose money in the bank, I just have to bring proof that I was duped. You have this. You've been taking my 500 naira, my 50 naira, my 5,000 naira.
This is Nigeria.
You should then pay my money. That should be some sort of insurance. That's what the NSA should be telling us.
That is how it should be.
That's what they should be telling us at this point in time.
That is how it should be. We would actually have to wait to see if that is how it will be. The NLC and SERAP has given the federal government 48 hours ultimatum to reverse the cybersecurity tax. NLC has kicked against it. Let's give them benefit of the doubt.
These are two groups that over time have always spoken against things, and then it didn't turn out to work out at the end of the day. SERAP and the NLC.
SERAP is serious about it. They should take action and make the federal government reverse it in 48 hours. And the NLC, they're kicking against it. They should kick against it. But the NLC has another fight that they should be fighting.
I thought they should focus on the fight.
They should focus on the fight, yes. The
615,000
minimum wage. They should focus on that. And let SERAP do what it can to make the federal government reverse it. What's talking about electricity tariff?
Yeah.
They've not actually, reversed it.
They said for Band A customers, it's now 206 naira per kilowatt. I've forgotten the figures. They reduced it a little bit.
Some Band A customers are crying out that they don't get the 20 hours electricity supply that they were alleged to be having.
They said it's minimum to the hour.
Minimum.
And they don't get up to
the minimum. 20 hours.
It's
What's happening in the country? That's why I said sometimes when you look at this things, it could be entertaining.
No, it's something that makes nice. This is what they call tragedy in drama back there. When you do literature, this is comic tragedy.
Yes, tragic comedy. Yeah.
All right, this is Morning right here on Delta Television, the People's Pride. We're talking about how Nigeria is going. One way Nigeria has been going that has looked so sad for Nigeria is the fact that the naira keeps going up and down, fluctuating like our power holding services in the country. Now I hear that it's 1,383 naira to a dollar. Can't even believe that. But let's look at the effects of the dollar increment up and down in Nigeria on Street Talk. We'll be back afterwards.
Make it juicy.
I go to buy sachet water the other day, and I'm told it's 15 naira.
And I'm like, 50 naira for what? She said it's the dollar, or the dollar affects the water. And that's the reality of the Nigeria we live in right now. Welcome, my people, to another edition of Street Talk. I am Chinazo Frances Ucheofojama, and today we are on the street to find out how the dollar is affecting the prices of goods and services, and how it's affecting you personally. I also want to find out your advice to the government on what you think they could do to stabilize the dollar rates. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for stopping by to speak to us. So, the dollar right now, how's it affected you personally?
It has affected me mentally, psychologically, physically, spiritually because
You rich.
yeah, you know easy. Person not the chop 3 times again and at once. You go time and you got to time and like around 12 or 11 before you go chop. So I go carry you till evening. Then in evening time you can't use the G's take settle and like Gary, you know.
Floating berries and all of that stuff.
Focusing, the focusing.
You see they're doing focusing?
No, normal Gary and the other cousins are like granola, sugar, and milk, you know.
Sharp. So what do you think the government could do to stabilize the dollar and exchange rates?
I think they should set out like policy and bring foreign investment to here so that the naira will not be just be going outside the country. Like the demand for dollar will not just be high. I think they should bring investment back to Nigeria. Like
Okay.
they will be trading in naira and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, we have to just stop trading in dollar. So the dollar should not be affecting our prices of goods and services here in Nigeria.
Because of the import rate is very high, so we need to buy dollar before we can be able to purchase anything outside the country. So I think we should start producing our own stuff, bring.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how's it affected you personally?
Everywhere it has affected everybody.
Okay. So how's the prices of goods and services and all of that? Your business maybe?
Yeah, actually I'm into metal fabrication. The cost of diesel these days is alarming, so strong that we cannot afford it. Price of a liter of diesel is about 1,002 something. And the fuel as well is affecting us seriously.
So what do you think governments can do to stabilize the price or to stabilize the exchange rate?
Okay, I think we should start working on our resources personally by ourselves. We shouldn't export our oil abroad. We shouldn't rely on the white people because it is affecting us seriously. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
Well said. Thank you very much. Yeah. Good morning.
My dear, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So the exchange rate right now, how's it affected you personally?
My dear, it affects me too much. Just including rice. 1 delica rice for Lagos is 1,000 naira. Over much. Not only that, look at tomatoes, our product is much. Not only that too, enter inside market, price ten, anyone you price higher, is much.
Has it affected your business?
Not small thing, like I'm selling shoe. Before 3,000. For the one that I bought here now, 7,000 naira. One is 15,000 naira. I say, wow, what is happening? It's over much.
Yeah, the difference is too much. So what do you think the government can do to stabilize?
Government should help us. So this man, Tinubu say, if he enter, things will be okay. See fuel, higher. See gas, over much. See dozy. It's too much. The man should do something. See what I say though. If after this man, let women enter. Because men, they are not doing us well. We are not getting anything from men. After this man, let women enter. Or army people, let them take over. That is my own rule.
Thank you.
Take over. Or women. Finish. My dear, God bless you.
Bless you too. So she said, let women take over. Let women be the ones in power now. Or we go back to our military regime because men are not serving us anymore. So she said. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how has it affected you personally?
Honestly, to me, self, when the result was announced that Tinubu won the election,
Yeah.
I told some of my friends that very soon I'll sign citizen with the Cameroonians because I know that once Tinubu enter, it will not be easy. And the problem we have in this country is that I don't know why they don't want to give an Igbo man to lead as president. Because to my own view, if it was Obi that enter, I believe things will be better. the thing is affecting me.
Okay, so what do you think the government can do to stabilize the foreign exchange rate?
To be honest, I'm not seeing the government doing anything, honestly.
So you don't think there's anything they can do?
Honestly, there's nothing they can do.
Oh, so you want we should continue living this way?
Because there's nothing we can do. Because they are not even listening to us. I believe they have been watching how people are suffering. People find it difficult to feed. So to me, if they have something to do, they could have done it since. So I don't think, the only prayer that we'll be praying that is, let God help us to overcome this. Let's see how Tinubu will rule and finish. Then let us pray and see whether by God grace after 8 tenors, maybe after the 8 tenors, maybe God will help us with somebody that will have the feelings of his people, because Tinubu doesn't have feelings for his people.
Okay, thank you very much. So he said to wait to the end of the 8 years, wait to the end of 8 tenures. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate now, how has it affected you personally?
Yeah, it's affecting all commodity in the market. As you can see, the rate of which we are buying things in the market has gone high compared to before. And if you go to the market now, you see market women, they are suffering and they are not able to, they don't have the capacity to buy as much as they could due to the rate of dollar and some other things. So it is expected of the government to work on the exchange rate so that they'll be able to afford their commodity.
So how do you think the government can work on the exchange rate to stabilize it?
Meanwhile, I think they need to work with the CBN and to be able to see how they can fast track the rate and in terms of dollar, because I know that most of the things that we purchase in Nigeria is based on the capacity of dollar.
So do you know what the acronym CBN stands for?
CBN is Central Bank of Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how has it affected you personally?
It has affected me in so many ways. Cost of living, transportation, and health wisely. So it has not been easy. Mostly this year, since the dollar increased, things are, in fact, I'm finding it difficult, honestly, yes.
So what do you think the government and the regulators of the exchange rates, what do you think they could do to stabilize it?
I don't know, but they have to look for a way to help the poor masses, because they are really suffering and they are making the use to go into things that will not help them tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you. So she said the poor masses are really suffering. So the government has to look for a way to stabilize this exchange rate so that we, the poor people, so that we can breathe, right? And she also said it's making the youth go into things that wouldn't help them tomorrow, go into crime rate. So the crime rate recently now is higher than it was before. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate, how has it affected you personally?
Is much like now a pure water is 15 naira.
What I bought?
15 naira. I bought 15 naira. Once you ask what's the problem, they will say dollar is high, dollar is this, dollar is that. I beg. If they know what they will do for the dollar, I beg, may they do. You understand? Some people just they put that dollar for mind. They use and they intimidate people. You understand? So people cannot buy what they want to buy because the thing is very expensive. So even now, I paid like, let me say, 500 from Onitsha to Asaba. They say dollar is high, this, that, this. So may they try to reduce the thing.
So what do you think government can do to reduce it?
Government should look into it. Because we poor masses, we know how we are struggling to make a living since the complaint is much. So they know what to do. They know what to do. Maybe they do the right thing at the right time. You understand? So that is what I can say.
We are still on the streets of Asaba, and here we have with us another person. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how has it affected you personally?
Personally, because of the high cost of commodities, high cost of living, everything is shooting up high. So it has affected the standard of living. Suffering has set in. And now people are struggling. Some of us that are doing some works, people will complain there is no money. They come and give us patronage. So people start to manage themselves, to do service to themselves. You have clothes to do in the laundry because of the situation of
Start
things.
doing it
You
yourself.
manage to do it yourself. Then the laundryman begin to complain. So these things, it has made the naira to be less valued. When you have 10,000 naira now, it's like you don't have anything. It's just as if you just went to the market to buy snacks and it's gone. But before, it used to be something that the whole family will use to survive.
So what do you think the government can do to stabilize?
Anything that will make the dollar rate to come down. For example, if the government can look into the matter, where did this thing start from? What is the cause? Because if you know the cause of a problem, you'll be able to profile a solution to that very problem. What is the cause of this problem? Why is the exchange rate so high and working against us in this country? So these are the things to look into it. Let's see what is the cause. Let governments investigate. Let professionals look into it. What is the root cause of this matter? Is it corruption on the side of government? Is it that the country doesn't have enough resources to help their citizens? Where is the problem? And I don't believe that there is no resources. There is resources. So there is corruption somewhere, in my own view. So let governments look into it and feel the pain of the masses. If they don't feel the pain of the masses, they will not do anything. But if they feel the pain of the masses, definitely there is a way out. They can proffer a solution. Yes.
Thank you very much. So he said to identify the root of the problem, as when you identify the root of the problem, that's the only time you can offer solutions to the problem. We're still on the streets of Asaba. Let's go find more people to talk to. Good morning, ma.
Morning.
So basically, the dollar and the exchange rate, how has it affected you personally? How has it affected your food business?
It affects us also because this rice where we are buying now is so much money. The rice now is 60. Local rice now is 40 something, 50. Then baga we are buying now, baga is 1,000 something now.
So even the dollar itself, they affect.
Even the dollar itself is affecting everything we are doing for this business. So if they can do anything possible.
But how about sales? Does it affect sales as well?
Yeah, it's affecting everything. Everything, it's affecting everything. So we are just managing ourselves for this food we are cooking now. There is no money, but we are managing ourselves for the rice, for the everything. Even tomatoes is costly now.
So what do you think the government feed do?
The government can help us. They can talk to the people that are there on seats so that they can reduce all these things for us, for we to survive. That's what we need. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate and dollar, how do they affect you?
They are affecting women can't very well because before there was say dollar is 150 naira. They will say that dollar is 200, but now dollar is now 1,000 because every day before is very cheap. But now a bag of rice is now going to 70,000. A poor man cannot chop. You couldn't mean now, I am looking for food. Now, we I want to buy a plate of food before, it's 300 naira. But I buy now, every day expensive. I sell you a plate of food now, 700. But a diabetes, I sell you 3,000. In this shoemaker thing, it affected my own business too. I cannot see money to buy because material. Now for you to the matter is not 200 naira, but they are currently 100 naira because of the fuel charges and the dollar every day don't go up. I did not know before December. I did not know how the fuel will look like because fuel dollar is affecting mankind. But I don't need to you now that some people are very bitterly on this because of this money charges and dollar. We that do people that are selling food, they will tell you their own view. I have my own view.
So what do you think the government can do to help us?
Here the government empower everybody, going to street to look for those people that are not doing handwork. Here they empower them. Two, yeah, they go to those people that is doing hand work. Yeah, they stay with them. They what they feel like. I mean, I read the government should come there. Come and tell me what do you feel like. I will tell them my own view. They will tell them, because if person did not tell your own problem, you will not know.
But the dollar, what do you think the government can do to stabilize the dollar?
Here the government handle the dollar. Here the government reduce the dollar down to 400 so that people should feel
400.
400. It's okay, or 400 or 300. It's okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Mama, good morning. No.
Morning.
Mama, so this dollar, this exchange rate, how you take the affect you personally?
Now Yoruba be this. This my brother, now my brother, but he can't make everything cost. And I want to make carry everything down.
So how you think say you fit do and make carry everything down?
He go do am normal now. As the people do am, this self go do am, make do normal. Because now my brother, I no go say no be my brother, but I no want wetin go dey affect everybody, dey affect myself. So make carry everything down.
All right, Mama. So your business, how the thing dey affect your?
It dey affect me sef. Wetin we dey buy 1,000 naira now na 5,000 naira we dey buy am. Na im make me say the thing dey vex me na because of my brother na im dey there. You understand? The thing dey affect me.
So but the sales of the business nko dey move like say they move before?
E no dey move as dey move before because dem know say everything cost. People no dey buy again. You understand? I want everything to come down now. Every market go dey move. Normal.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you. We've heard from so many people and what they have to say. Some have said to identify the root of the problem, as that's the only time we can offer solutions. Some have said to bring the dollar down. You don't know as they want to do and make sure and bring the dollar down. Some have said, it's only when the dollar goes to 400 naira, that's when things can be better. Some have said we should just even stop dealing with dollar safe. Like dollar should not be affecting anything in Nigeria. Well, that brings us to the end of Street Talk, today's edition of Street Talk. And do well to stay with us as we bring you more exciting topics next time on Street Talk.
J-Male make it juicy.
The balls of Deltans as regards the effect of the dollar. I want to call it fluctuation because it keeps going up and down again. So it feels like electricity power supply, what we have in Nigeria, is just fluctuating. And Nigerians are suffering the most for it. Lesson.
We had the residents on the streets talk about how it has affected them. One of them said it has affected him psychologically, physically, mentally, even spiritually. Yes, it has gotten to that extent where Nigerians will say, oh, we're not going to church anymore because we can't give our offerings, so we can't give our tithes. So it can affect someone spiritually. And looking at that woman who actually sells food, who sells rice, she talked about how a bag of foreign rice, how much it costs now, how much local rice costs, how much banga itself, something that Nigerians could it is an alternative to, if you can't go to the market to get tomatoes, you get banga and prepare the local stew. Now it is now so expensive. It is affecting everybody. From the top to the bottom, is affecting everybody right now. And the CBN, instead of looking at cybersecurity tax and other ways to tax Nigerians, why not look at ways to strengthen the Naira? That should be the fight that the federal government and the CBN should be fighting right now.
They've been granting loans here and there, giving out monies, but I had to talk to an accountant just during the break, and there was something that he pointed out to me that, what we generate from transactions over the year, over a quarter, it can cost over 24 trillion naira. You want to do a mathematics of how much that would be. It would be over 48 billion naira the country would make when he was doing this mathematics just from that 0.5% deduction that will be made for every transaction, interbank transaction, and the rest of them. That is something serious. But perhaps maybe we'll begin to minus the exceptions. It might not get that big. But people are concerned that this will be a cash cow of the government. More like who's going to audition the NSA, audit the NSA rather, after they've done everything that concerns the money. When we are complaining bitterly about how things have skyrocketed in Nigeria due to the Naira dollar problem. And then we don't produce. At this point, we would have been focusing more on production. I don't even mind if they are taking those monies and said, okay, we're transparently going to build companies and factories for Nigerians to work, and we're going to pay you that money in interest later on. That would have been a good business deal with Nigeria.
I think we will need a business analyst to really come and talk to us about all
very
these things,
strong.
because a lot of questions are just running through my mind. POS operators, when they want to transfer, are they still going to deduct the money from them? Will POS operators now charge a higher fare for transactions? Those who earn in dollars, will this affect them as well? If you're Nigerian, you're earning in dollars. So many questions running through my mind. The
electronic transfer will all be affected. Any electronic transfer.
Any electronic transfer.
Yes,
so Nigeria should expect POS operators to really increase their fares.
They might increase their prices, knowing that many of them too are now on check. Remember that yesterday there was this talk about trying to ensure that they register them on the CAC.
Yes.
So they are going to pay monies to get that registration done. It means that unemployment rate will increase in Nigeria. Let's not forget that we are at a terrible rate of unemployment, underemployment in Nigeria. It means that those people who are unemployed are not earning what they should earn. The average civil servant whose minimum wage is 30,000 naira, right, is a poor person as far as the global scene is concerned, because it takes $2.15 for an individual to make a day. If you make anything less than that, you are poor. The dollar is 1,300 and something naira. It means that if you multiply that month, you are poor, arguably. Not arguably. As a fact, you're poor globally. And we're talking about that issue. We're talking about the Naira issue and the rest of them. It just keeps getting more and more.
I don't know what the advisors to the presidency, what they are actually doing. Are they Nigerians? Because if they are Nigerians, they should understand what Nigerians are going through, and they should know the right time.
I'm trying too hard to be.
We said this before, but questions keep running. There are so many questions running through my mind. What are the advisors really doing? Are they really telling the president? Are they speaking to the stakeholders, the key players in the country that, oh, this is how the country is right now. This can cause chaos. This would upset the citizens. Do they really give them such advice?
These are the questions really that we can think about. But then let's look at the character of Bola Ahmed Tinubu over time. He has proven to be one who would always go the way of taxation. Remember in Lagos State when he did the toll gates all around? It was something that Nigerians had forgotten, but then he reawoke that in Lagos State. Let's look at how he became president of Nigeria. His inaugural speech meant he did something that Nigerians never thought anybody would have the pluck to do. On an inaugural speech, he removed fuel subsidy via a statement he made. He didn't even think about the call committee. And now fast forward to this moment, we're hearing about this 0.5%, all about cybersecurity. So it looks like this president is fast on policies that could maybe, according to him, save the economy without being concerned about the sensitivities of Nigerians. That's what I'm beginning to deduce from him. Maybe this is for the better of Nigerians, because people have said that cybersecurity problems in Nigeria are so much. Nigerians, or the country looks like it's been overcome by cyber fraudsters. I'm trying to think for the president now.
Will it really ensure that our transactions will be secured? Because
that's the big
taking
question.
the tax is one thing. Ensuring that the security of our transfers and our bank details are safe is another thing entirely. So are we sure? What is the assurance that if they keep taking this tax from Nigerians, indeed there will be nothing like cybercrime in
that if I see my money deducted, I could send a complaint and get my money back. Simple insurance. So if that is the case, maybe we can begin to have a conversation about that. But one of the biggest mistakes about this is that it looks like the president is not a people's president. And I'll explain. When he became president of Nigeria, it wasn't the way Nigerians celebrate the victory of the Super Eagles. It was quite calm. Everybody was calm. It was like cold water poured on Nigerians. People were calm. Some experts say he won strategically by going via zone by zone and getting votes in different areas. But it wasn't like a mass appeal. Fast forward to now, it's looking like he doesn't seem to be interested in appealing to the masses in what he does. He just takes these actions all around. This is the president that is trying to bring in palliatives to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you are removing monies from these people they are giving palliatives to.
You give us 10,000 naira and then you remove it from
that's the way it
our
looks
account.
like.
It
But
doesn't make
I'm
sense.
trying so badly, Blessing, to defend the president just for balance sake. Try to understand, empathize with the devil's advocate at the point in time. It's hard to do that. But then I realized that perhaps this might be one step towards fighting cybercrime. And if you have to fight something, you need funds to fight it. But how about all the taxes that have been taken
you always
over
do that.
time?
You always
with
try to
Nigerians?
play the devil's advocate.
At this point, I have
At
to.
some point, when you're
At this
trying
point, I
to
have to
play
play.
the devil's advocate, you look at the reality. The reality is staring at us. There is no Nigeria right now. I believe those who granted interviews, those who on social media came out to defend during the election period to say, yes, this is the person we should vote for.
Yeah.
This person would
They're
come into
embarrassed. Many of them
Nigeria.
are embarrassed now.
Reality is staring at us. I'm sure they cannot defend the presidency anymore.
Yeah,
Because like you rightly said, he is not acting like a people's president. He's not acting like he cares about what the people want. Because governance is for the people, by the people. So why are you coming up with policies that do not favor
Yeah,
the
anti-people.
citizens?
But let's not forget that we have the right to go to court, and we hope that the court would listen to us properly. At the same time, after going to court, why I play devil's advocate is because I remember how the fuel subsidy thing went in 2012, yes, when it happened. We thought it was the worst thing ever. Fast forward to now, we're still grappling with that. So some actions will be made, and if we don't think about it from the other end, then we're not being sincere to our calls for balance. At the same time, we are begging the government, we are begging governance, every form of any other leader in Nigeria to be sensitive about the people. These are not the times to crack jokes with Nigeria and the financial state of Nigerians.
Not at all.
This is not the time at all. This is a time for everybody to be concerned about every single penny or kobo deducted from any Nigerian. And I think that cybercrime should not be something we should blatantly come and say we want to take your monies to fight. At the same time, maybe some of the experts know what is best and think that we have to take money to fund. But who is auditing the NSA? Where are these monies going to go
What
to?
would the monies be used for?
How much monies are they going to make from these transactions? Looking at this analysis I got from the accountant who said if they take all the monies, for instance, it's going to cost over 24 trillion, all transactions, monies made from transactions, over 24 trillion. And if you do the math again to begin to do your division and subtraction, you will see over 24 billion naira. And he was talking about quarters. It was kind of hard for me to put that one into perspective. But then again, all that money's on just cybercrime. It looks like we spend more fighting cybercrime than what cybercrime takes from us.
What if Nigerian says they don't want the federal government to help them fight cybercrime?
It affects the federal government. Because if you want to attract businesses into your country, you have to ensure that your environment is safe for business to be run in your country. So somehow the president has that duty to prove to the world that Nigeria is safe when it comes to this finances and security.
So what was the essence of linking our NIN to our SIM cards in the first place?
Questions, man. We need
So many
we need
questions,
expert.
but let's just leave it
When we come back, we'll look at the papers this morning and see some of the headlines. We're sure we're going to find something about cyber security.
It's all over the newspapers this morning.
But that's when we come back. Do stay with us. Morning Ride continues shortly. watching Morning Ride on Delta Television. This is the People's Pride. It's now time for us to look at the papers and see what is making the headlines, or what are making the headlines this morning. Right with us in the house is engineer Meshach Oza, social commentator, lover of the people, man who loves to say the truth, no matter whose ox gets gored. Good to have you this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good
I'm excited.
morning.
Every Wednesday is the day I look forward to because of the composition of Morning Ride.
Let's see the composition of the headlines this morning, Meshach,
Okay, thank
and
you.
see if that will make you happy.
Maybe happier.
Maybe happier. Let's see. Now we have several papers: the Vanguard, the Punch, the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune, the rest of them. But let's start with the Vanguard newspaper this morning and see the stories making the front page. Now, on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have the big headline right here. It says, "Oil block, FG removes signature bonus to woo investors." The writer says, signature bonus highest in Nigeria, says Lukmugwiri. Another writer says, adds oil will remain relevant to Nigeria's economy. And final writer says, 667 firms eyeing 57 oil blocks on offer. At the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper, we have UBA records 110% rise in gross earnings to 570 billion naira. That's on page 19. Still at the top strip, Edo Guba, Obaseki, legacy group set for showdown. That's on page 7. On page 12, impeach Fubara now. Rivers APC urges 27 assembly members. On page 6, popular new masquerade actress Ovularia dies at 81. That's quite a very sad one. Ovularia. Okay. May her soul rest in peace. And we look at other stories making the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. By the side of the Federal Speak, we have propelling Nigeria towards renewal. Controversy trails CBN cyber security levy on electronic transactions. The writer says NLC rejects levy, demands immediate withdrawal. That's on page 20, right here on the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, well, now let's look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Nigerian Tribune newspaper is next. I'll just take a few headlines. The major headline on the Nigerian Tribune says, cybersecurity levy will add more burden on Nigerians, says experts. Get details of that story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. So many writers, but I'll skip that. At the top strip on page 6, NNPC, we have over 1.5 billion liters of petrol that will last for over 30 days. Okay, and then we have on page 4, proceed with Fubara's impeachment, Rivers APC tells lawmakers. And then the last headline I'll be taking from the Nigerian Tribune, on page 8, no more justification for stopping 35,000 naira wage award, says Labour.
Okay, we look at the Nation newspaper this morning, and let's see the big story. ECOWAS forced to battle terrorism in Nigeria. Others. Writer says sub-regional body sourcing $2.4 billion to raise counter-terrorism troops. And we have the story making the rounds on all the front pages. Rivers APC direct lawmakers to impeach Fubara. At the top strip, Olubadan Coast clears for Olukweng Ladoja withdrawal suit. And then we have other stories right here on the front page of the Nation newspaper. We'll move to our next paper this morning.
Now let's look at the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust has its major headline, NLC CSOs reject cybersecurity levy. The writers, Serap threatens to sue federal government. It's additional burden on Nigerians, says experts. And then we have on page 11 months after, federal government yet to reconstitute varsity governing councils. Despite 30 billion naira innovation, Senate chamber lacks voting devices, says Ndume. That's on page 12. And on page 14, Tinubu's first year in office, propelling Nigeria towards renewal. Indeed, that's on the Daily Trust.
We move now to the Punch newspaper this morning. On the Punch, dollar speculation. FG rubbishes Binance CEO's bribery allegation. That's on the Punch newspaper this morning. It says dollar speculation. FG rubbishes Binance CEO's bribery allegation. That's on page 17. The writer says, Binance CEO allegation, diversionary, no going back on trial, government officials declare. Now we have the photo speak here. It's outside Nigeria. Porn star testifies against Trump at hush money trial. That's on page 31 of the Punch newspaper. And then we have the story about cyber security levy will worsen hardship coming from Labour on page 17 at the downstrip. And this one here saying bullying. Police launch probe as Ekiti Varsity expels female students. That's also on page 31 of the Vanguard newspaper. I'll take this one story at the top strip. 7.5 billion naira fraud. EFCC grills 20 NSCDC contractors, 10 officers. That's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Move to our next paper.
The Guardian newspaper. The major headline of the Guardian newspaper says, Federal government shuns financial inclusion, imposes more taxes on citizens, depositors. That's on page 6. And we have on news page 3. Federal government certifies Tinubu fit, explains absence.
Okay.
Next higher tariff review for disco's light or darkness. That's on news analysis page 4. And then we have petrol price to rise as federal government struggles to sustain supply. Cement, refs knock Alake, Dangote, BUA, others over failure to honor invitation. That's on news page 30. We'll move on to the next paper.
Daily Independent. This one says, Rivers crisis come to a head as APC asks Assembly to impeach governor. Many writers, I'll just skip that for now. We go at the top strip, says Senate investigates 18.5 billion naira Centenary City project after 10 years. All these monies, $18.5 billion, Centenary City project after 10 years. Another story at the front page of the Daily Independent, the top strip. Again, NNPCL cautions against panic buying, says 30-day PMS sufficiency intact. The final story I'll take here says, knock as CBN orders banks, PSPs to collect cyber security levy. The writer says Serap gives Tinubu 48 hours to withdraw directive. That's most of the stories right here on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper.
Okay. We'll move on to the New Telegraph newspaper. On the New Telegraph newspaper, we have as major headlines, same as many others, cybersecurity levy, NLC, OPS, others demand immediate reversal of CBN's directive. Get that on page 2, 5, 7, and 25. I'll skip the riders. At the top strip, we have CBN direct banks to suspend fees on deposits. POS operators get 2-month deadline to register with CAC. That's on page 7. And then we have at the bottom strip, Rivers crisis. Clark petitions IGP over Wike Fubara field. That's on page 4 and 28. On page 5 and 8, Senate bars 10 TV stations photojournalists from covering plenary. Okay. And there's this interesting headline here on page 29 that says, bird watching can improve mental health, reduce the stress, says study.
I'll go watch those birds fly after the show today. Okay, let's look at the Business Times this morning and see what the stories are. Of course, Business Times has business story. Cybersecurity levy. CBN action ill-timed will discourage financial intermediation. This is coming from Professor Uwaleke. The writers, NLC demands immediate reversal of cybersecurity levy. And then the one we saw earlier on, Serap threatens legal action against federal government if levy is not rescinded. That's the big story on the Business Times this morning. And we have other headlines right here on the Business Times. I'll take one more. Oil, gas investment remains quickest economic recovery for Nigeria. This is coming from a minister. Okay, and those are some of the major headlines on the Business Times this morning.
And back home, the Pointer newspaper. The Pointer newspaper has as major headline, Oburiwari approves Health College Ovode. The writer, OK's upgrade of 215 health institutions. At the top strip, DTSG flays youth apathy towards army enlistment. And then the bottom strip, anti-open grazing. Delta lawmakers fume over non-enforcement in local government. The writer says issues 3-week ultimatum to constituent committees. And then inside the Pointer newspaper, we have news. 1 year on, Oberewere has humbled his haters, says Arebo. And sports, Pesero explains shunning NPFL players as Super Eagles coach. And editorial, page 6, reps stoppage of electricity tariff hike. Those are the headlines we have this morning from the Pointer newspaper.
Okay, Charity ended at home this morning. We had to look at the Pointer newspaper, and finally, the last paper that we reviewed this morning. Let's get that copy of it. Yes, and it looks really interesting. Yeah, well, we're going to do Charity at home before we go into cyber security. I know Meshach. No, let's get back to the studio and see Engineer Meshach, because if he's still smiling. He said the composition on Wednesday keeps you smiling. Are you still smiling?
Wow, yes. You need to take the positives from life.
Okay.
And this is one of the positives. I mean, always being around.
That's the way you can be saying.
To constitute committees. We thought that this would have been nipped in the bud by this time after all his rant. And
well, I think it's something that should have been nipped in the bud years back during the co-administration. I expected the assembly had passed the bill and was signed into law, promulgating the anti-grazing law and all that. So, and when you look at what's happening in some part of Ikala and Ababo precisely, and other area around that axis where Fulani herders are still killing farmers, a lot of our people are scared to, even on parts of Delta North here, a lot of our people are scared to go to their farms because of the sighting of Fulani herders that are still within the vicinity, and still some of them even still carry their cattle into some of these hamlets and neighborhoods. But moving forward, I think the political will to enact this, I'm happy the State House of Assembly is speaking at this time, the political will to enact this law, to process the law, into, it's not there. So I think they need to give the security agencies and other relevant authorities the enabling backing to carry out the law as promulgated by the State House of Assembly.
We saw what happened in Asaba a month ago, about the clash between the police and some Okada riders, claimed, some Okada riders in Asaba. Now, people have said that it's going to be difficult for the security agencies to actually enforce this anti-open grazing law without causing chaos.
It can be. There's a law. And once I say the political will, the State House of Assembly, why have they delayed? You see, most times when we have the police PRO, Bright Daffy, on most of our programs, when we talked about security threats and all that, it meant, especially when we talk about Okada, for example, still driving in Asaba, when they are asked not to be, they mention some capitals, some towns where they don't have to drive, like Asaba, Warri, Geli, they can be in the peripherals of Okpanam. But now, I mean, they said that they didn't give them the power to carry out, that what they did was just a pronouncement, but they need a promulgation, a paper that will be binding legally for them to do their job. So it will not, if what they need to do is, first and foremost, you need to do sensitization. You need to bring to bear on the people, especially those that are your target, the Fulanis that are headers, for example, bring to bear the period of 2-3 week grace of bringing it to the print and electronic media for them to be aware, and give the police the backing, the police and other security agencies that are going to carry out the act, give them the backing for them to be able to act. Without the backing of the State House of Assembly, there's no way. The police are restricted themselves by laws of the land, so they need to give them the backing. And once the State House of Assembly gives them that backing, then they are good to go. And look at Lagos State. Lagos State, actually, we have a lot of, I'll call them illegal immigrants, as the case may be, in Delta State here. Lagos State actually asked some people to leave their states now to Osun State. They were deported. That was the language I was just imagining. You were deported within your country, very laughable.
I don't understand.
Yes, they deported some indigenous stuff.
So that's the worry of some persons, some Deltans, that these people have infiltrated the state. They are so much in the state that it will be impossible for the police or other security agencies to actually
Once there's a political will, it is achievable. This is we are under a democratic dispensation guided by the Constitution. If you cannot, look at now these people that you see them under the bridge, see them at
Coca,
Coca, all these
Flyover.
ones, all these guys that do work, menial labor,
Artisans.
It's now a crime for you to go there. You can't see them there. They've asked all of them to go to Oko Market that they provided, and you must have an ID card. We want to be able to profile these people. We want to be able to, yes, if there's a crime or a criminal act propagated, you'll be able to assess the criminals or be able to find them. You can't just, and if they come to your site, if the task force comes to your site, and they see these guys walking, and they don't have an identity of who they are, you and yourself and the people will be arrested and prosecuted. So we want to do a lot of profiling now because there's so much proliferation of and influx of illegal immigrants into Delta State. Most importantly, the major towns.
Can they be illegal immigrants if they are from Nigeria?
No, majority of them are not from Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
majority of them are not from Nigeria. Asaba, Warri, Ugeli, Saple, Agbo, you have them all over the place. Once you can be a bricklayer, you can do any work, you can dig rock, you can just carry your
No,
shovel.
we're actually talking about anti-open grazing law. Saying no to anti-open grazing law, the question is, how then would they feed their livestock? Because that's the excuse they keep coming up with.
ranching. Now, if you look at the major problem of confrontation is the intrusion of the herders and their cattle on people's farmlands.
Yes.
Now, what the government needs to do is to have a restricted land mass
Exactly.
where you call this will be the ranch. This is your restricted area for ranch. And with that way, and meeting with the Hausa community, the Fulani community, making them understand the importance. Look at what happened. I'm sure you saw it on social media last week or last 2 weeks when a large amount of cows were dying because somebody decided that, okay, if people don't want to go do it right, let's use poison. He put poison on some of his crops on his farmland, and the cattle went there to eat the poison, and they were all dying.
So the state government should provide
So
lands
they should
for,
provide land
the,
for
the
ranching.
headers should ask
Yes,
for lands from
for land.
communities.
And besides that, when they have been ranched, they have become restricted. They can go to other places to get their food if the one in the ranch is
Not
exhausted.
Okay, let's move on from that. Still on the Pointer newspaper, before we let go of the Pointer, there's this picture here of the Secretary of State Government, Kingsley Emu, receiving the plaque from Brigadier General Wilto Nzidi, that's from the Army. But then the story here, DTSG, that's Delta State Government, flays youth apathy towards Army enlistment. What we gathered this morning looks like only few people have registered. About 4 people, that's what I heard in the whole of Delta State.
No,
What
now
level of apathy is this? Why are Deltans not interested in signing up to join the Nigerian Army?
let's ask some questions. Did you know there was an army recruitment?
We had this story here repeatedly.
You had it repeatedly.
We had it on radio, on
It's
TV.
on radio,
It's been all
Yeah,
around.
now let's understand something.
They have been begging Deltans to
The
sign up.
moment they are recruited, majority of southeastern recruits, most times their major fear, if you have a son or a daughter, would you advise him on how to go to the army?
It depends on the situation.
Yeah. You might posted to comfort zones where there are no, I mean, people should be posted to areas of concentration or areas of knowledge. It would help. That is one. Then secondly, the lack of care in cases of deaths and injuries on the part of military personnel in the line of duty. And people have seen the response of government that is not in line with international best practices. So it dissuades a lot of parents from allowing their children to join the military, especially the army. Yes, but it's not like that in some other forces like the Navy or the Air Force, but it's common in the army because it is the most, it's the closest to the people and it's the most evaluated by the people. People see the military, you hardly see Navy around the Air Force around there, but you see the army every day and you come to understand the mental perception of how the army works, and it's difficult, no doubt, but I think a lot of the government needs to do more of orientation. People do not know the importance. In the United States, or for example, in the UK, it's a privilege to serve the fatherland, and they are highly remunerated, unlike here. So the motivation is not there.
I saw the Brigadier General saying that if you get injured, they fly you abroad for treatment this morning. Blessing was on the news, and I heard the man saying that they fly you abroad for treatment, you get proper care from the army. Let's move on.
Go to military hospital Benin or go to military hospital in Lagos, Ikeja, and see for yourself.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to national dailies. From the Vanguard newspaper, quickly, I'll just take a few headlines. On page 8, it says, Tinubu returns to Nigeria today. And then from Mohammed Idris, Information Minister, he's saying that President Tinubu's first year in office, propelling Nigeria towards renewal.
Oh. Well, it's laughable when you think of the pangs of pain and penury that this administration has put Nigerians through. I found that the majority of the agents of government are very literary in their narrative. They seem to want to speak to the gallery towards getting applause. They speak more as sycophants, not as realists. The political will and the boldness to tell their principals to their faces that they have erred or they are erring in the areas of policies calls for questioning, no doubt. And I think I'm not totally in line with that narrative, basically. But Mr. President, I think he needs to come sit down and face globetrotting without facing the internal challenges of a democracy that we have so much desired as a country cannot attract international patronage and investment. Because in as much as you travel around the world claiming to be soliciting for international businesses and interests from the G7, from the international communities to come do business with Nigeria, the international community can only be attracted to a nation where there's civility, where there's rule of law, where security can be guaranteed, and where there's power. These are things that are not working in this country. I think you should stay more in Nigeria and tackle the challenges of the citizens.
Okay. Let's look at the elephant in the room right now and talk about the big one, the one that has all the papers roaring. The Guardian captures it this way: FG shuns financial inclusion, imposes more taxes on citizens and depositors, and there are other stories on the front page. The Daily Trust has it. The NLC CSO rejects cybersecurity levy. Rider Serap threatens to sue federal government, and then it's additional burden on Nigerians coming from experts. Do we have it from the Vanguard? Of course we should. On the Vanguard, controversy trails CBN cybersecurity levy on electronic transactions. That's what we have on the Vanguard. There are more everywhere. Any other paper we surfed this morning has that on the front page. How did you feel?
Well, first and foremost, you need to understand more what cybersecurity is. It's more like protecting internet-related hardware, software, or data rather, from cyber threats. And the government is a mockery of scientific processes. And how can you ask your citizens? You have given, you see, this government, when they sleep, wake up, the advisors of government, they just sleep, wake up, and they come and tell you this policy will work. And without thinking, they implement, without consultations. You need to look at the industry players to ask questions. Now, cybersecurity, yes, it's a good one, but now when you impose your responsibility on the citizens, it calls for questioning. Let those that are into software, hardware, manage the security of the system. And that way it will be much more appreciable. Now, you ask me you levy 0.005% of any transaction on me. Let me tell you something. These banks are ripping us off seriously. Yesterday, I would have mentioned the bank. It declared a 500 billion naira profit in the first 3 months for this quarter, for the first quarter of the year. 500 billion naira profit. You see now, if I send you money,
that's on the front page of the Vanguard. It says here, UBA records 110% rise in gross earnings to 570 billion.
Now, if I send you money, Blessing, I will pay tax. You that is receiving money will pay tax. Without people that don't even have cards, they are not into ATM cards. They are taxed maintenance fee and all that. Now you're coming cybersecurity threat that the monies will be collected and at the first 5 days of every month will be paid into the Cyber Security Fund.
Yeah.
And this fund will be domiciled in the Central Bank of Nigeria. So who is fooling who? The government in its capacity as a government has failed in its responsibility to bring together policies that are people-friendly.
Francis was trying to play the devil's advocate. He's
I've
always
been
doing
playing
that.
that this
He's
morning.
always doing that, right? And he's saying that, who knows, that maybe this cybersecurity tax is going to be of benefit to
Nigeria.
To Nigeria.
Maybe some form of
Nothing,
insurance.
Francis.
Perhaps
You see, not at times you want to test the microphone this morning. Let me tell you something.
Let's test
There's
this one.
nothing.
Okay.
That's what has benefited us in the past. Now, cybersecurity, they said they created, first and foremost, Nigerians didn't know that when they created the cybersecurity fund, that there was a fund. Now you are imposed, this is an imposition. It's
yes,
like,
that's what I
it's
said.
like,
What will happen in Nigeria? I said, no, we don't want it.
we don't want to let them hack my account. It's not your account. Let them, because after all, they've been hacking people's account and the
After
bank,
linking your SIM to your NIN.
Now you said we should do link your SIM to your BVN and the NIN or whatever. That it is easier for them to trace criminals. They have not been able to access that. They said that with the linking of NIN to phone numbers, it will be easy to reduce kidnapping. We have not found any kidnapping investigation that has been successful and attributed to the linking of.
Meshach, I think it's a case of distrust.
This is
a case of if everything works together.
This is a case of the federal government trying to scam Nigerians. That is the way, because all the policies of government over the years, especially in this dispensation.
So you're saying it's a case of distrust, Meshach? That
If
over
you call
the
it
years
this,
they have
if
failed,
you call it
therefore
distrust,
now they will fail.
if you call it distrust, maybe maybe the common man will not really understand. It is a case of the federal government trying to, in collusion with the CBN, trying to scam Nigerians out of their hard-earned money. When we are still discussing issues of minimum wage, you have not looked at it. Electricity tariff has come. You have not looked at it. We are talking of petrol scarcity. Yesterday, I bought petrol at Train Oil for 720 naira per liter. And you have not said anything about it. We have about 6 vessels that are domiciled at the Warri Port. 4 of them are
they have 1.5 billion.
The biggest scam is the people that are leaders. The biggest scam in collusion with other players in the industry, in the power sector, in the National Assembly, in the judiciary, in connivance, and the CBN and NNPC. They are the major conduit pipe that the leadership of the ruling party are using for extortionist purposes.
Meshach, you know, I am a journalist and I have to stand for the part of balance. Despite the fact that people are angry, I must just try to balance.
Okay, balance.
And play devil's advocate so you can explain to people very well.
Yes.
What other alternative? Are you satisfied? Are you okay? Are you okay with the level of cyber crime in Nigeria?
For America, that has a higher technological balance than Nigeria, they are not taxing. There's no. Have you heard of cybersecurity tax or levy in the United States?
Research to find out if that's true or false.
No. So when you look at it, when the government fails in its responsibility,
and even at that,
they impose it on the
people. They still have issues of cybercrime in America with their high intelligence.
With whatever. Cybercrime will always be there. Because the players are within the system. The players, the actors, the actors. Look, you cannot hack. You cannot go and hack a banking website.
Are the players the Yahoo boys?
The Yahoo boys, what I mean of them. The players are bankers are into Yahoo as well. You don't forget that.
So the actors are bankers now?
I have not said the players are in the system. The people that you are asking, they are asking to protect the system, are the people that can still break the ice. They are the people that can work in collusion with outsiders. Bankers, the system has laid people off the banking system. Yes, the majority of the kidnappings you see are carried out by military men or policemen that have been dismissed for one act or the other. So they still have the experience. The experience comes to bear. And over time, you have the EFCC chairman talking about how impressed he was with a 17-year-old boy who acts in his presence and showed him how he could hack.
That boy was not part of the actors we were talking about.
No,
17-year-old innocent boy.
For crying out loud, they are all actors in the system. The Yahoo boys, you see, they work in collusion with bankers. So however, moving forward, my issue still remains that the federal government in its major policies since they came into power have not thought wise to appreciate the pains of Nigerians. They are more concerned with afflictions, afflicting the citizens with policies that are not friendly, with
Okay.
policies that are intimidating.
Engineer Meshach, I want to let you know that I am also annoyed, but I have to stand on the path of balance. Thank you so much. Thank you. I feel
Thanks.
the
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
feel the
I think
emotion.
they should ask us, do you want to protect your account or not?
not.
They should be
Click yes or no.
Click yes or no.
You
I
click
don't have
no.
any B, I'll click no. You should leave me alone.
Thank you so much, Engineer
Thanks for
Meshach, for
having
joining
me.
us.
The safety of our monies, of our finances is quite pivotal.
But for the benefit of our listeners, there's one thing. Now, those people that went to make mention, some people are not going to pay. Now, if
Yes,
you are
exception.
intra-bank transfer
Yes.
between the same bank, you are not going to pay.
Yes.
Interbank transfer from my own account to my own account in another bank, no issues.
Okay.
And majorly intrabank
And
transactions.
salaries as well.
And salaries and
So,
what
so
are
to a large
and
extent,
all that.
maybe it was an issue of
It's
poor
a poor,
communication.
poor communication.
That's what
Now
we
there
should
should have
have
been sensitization, because if you look at it, the people that are going to be involved are not. I think it's an issue of
All
poor
right,
communication.
Meshach, I know your time is ready up. You have
Yeah,
other
thanks.
engagement. Thank you so much, Engineer Meshach, for
Thanks for having me.
engineering your thoughts properly. We need our accounts safe. The safety of our monies is quite pivotal, but our lives also need to be safe. And that's why we're going to bring in gentlemen from Nigerian Red Cross Society, Delta State. Let's talk safety on Morning Right. That's coming up next. Just stay with us. Morning Right, Wednesday's edition, right here on Delta Television, the People's Pride. It's now time for us to look at safety. And this morning we shall look at the point where we get humanitarian services and protection from those who care for us deeply and who are trained to provide such services to us. Precisely this morning we have with us a man from the Nigerian Red Cross Society right here in Delta State. He is branch secretary, Nigerian Red Cross Society, Delta State branch. He is trainer Charles Arinomo. Good to have you.
Yeah, good morning.
I know we can do handshakes now. It's safe, right?
Yeah, it's very safe.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to
Thank you.
Morning
Good morning,
Right.
Deltas, yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I must say that you do so well.
Thank
the
you.
Nigerian Red Cross Society. you serve humanity and you bring out the best that you can. But how relevant to those who are watching right now is humanitarian services on people, especially when it comes to safety?
Well, thank you very much for having me on this show. Just to say that today is May 8th, and we're actually celebrating our World Red Cross Day.
Well, that's a good coincidence. Okay, good to have you.
Yes, we'll talk about that maybe much later in the program.
All right.
Well, humanitarian service, God created man and showed man kindness, and God also commissioned us to be our brother's keeper. But you know, in the world today, there are so many persons who cannot afford a meal. There are so many persons who don't have what to put on. And so the Red Cross will stand in the gap. It's like the banking sector that mobilizes deposits from the surplus spending unit to the deficit spending unit. That is what we do. We reach out to those who have it, who are not necessarily having it enough, but who can spare one or two from the little they have to extend to their neighbor who do not have. And that is what humanitarian service is all about. And you cannot underscore the importance of that service, because that has kept us going. It has kept humanity moving over the years, and that is why we are still in the business of service to humanity.
Okay, when you talk about humanitarian services, I want you to explain further. What kind of services does the Red Cross provide to communities or to people?
Okay, in the Nigerian Red Cross Society,
Yes.
all our services are anchored under 4 core programs. We talk about disaster management, we talk about health and care, we talk about organizational development and dissemination of humanitarian principles. Disaster management, you know, in the world today, there are a lot of disasters, a lot of conflict, ranging from natural to man-made disasters. And so when this happens, the Red Cross lend a helping hand. For instance, I give an example. The 2022 flood disasters affected so many LGAs in Delta State. But with support from our partners, the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, and the humanitarian aid of the Swiss Embassy, we were able to extend support to 9 communities in Delta State, in 3 LGAs, Ndokwa East, Isoko South, and Ughelli South LGAs of Delta State. What did we do there? We went in there to do needs assessment, and we discovered that the flood has greatly impacted them negatively. Their shelters were destroyed, their source of livelihood, everything you can think of that makes human being. Shelter, clothing, food, they're all gone. And so what did we do? With support from our partners, we were able to distribute food items. We gave bags of rice, bags of beans, bags of gari, palm oil, and jerry can for water storage. We got there and discovered that their water source had been destroyed by the flood. So we had to rehabilitate water point. Some of their shelters were destroyed. We had to rehabilitate shelters in these communities. And we also did cash transfer, where each household got 61,500 naira each.
In Delta State?
In Delta State. The records are there. In 9 communities of Abalagada, Ashaka, and Ibuku in Ndokwa East, Araya, Ughelli Aviara, and Ifrogbo Iri community in Isoko South, Otutuama, Iroku, and Okwemo in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State. Not only that, even the British Red Cross is also supporting us to operate in Oshimili South local government, which is the local government hosting the state capital. So we are working in Omiliboma, Elenchere, and Oko Amakon community. Okay, these communities, we are going to, with our humanitarian service, help in enhancing and building their capacity to reduce their vulnerability to flooding.
Okay. Who can actually benefit from the assistance provided by the Red Cross, aside from communities? Who can benefit?
Those in need. All our interventions are tailored towards those in need, the vulnerable people, most vulnerable. I know you have so many needs, you want so many things,
yes,
but your needs are basically those things that we are really looking out for. So even when we go into communities that are impacted by one disaster or the other, with our assessment matrix, we'll be able to know those that actually need. Because first and foremost, we look at child-headed household. Do you know there are communities today where children are the ones, maybe underage children, less than 12 years, are the ones taking care of their siblings. Maybe their parents, they are orphans, or they are fatherless or motherless, that they want to take it. So this type of person, they benefit from our services. We look at widows and widowers.
they benefit from our service. When we look at the aged, those 60 years and above, those who are sick, those who have one form of disability or the other, persons with disability and persons with special needs, these are the categories of persons we are actually looking out for today, because our capacities are not the same. In any emergency situation, if there's an emergency here now, I know you will take off. You will be the first way to leave this place.
No, we have been trained.
Okay, good. Thank you because of training. But imagine some persons with disability. Imagine a 65-year-old woman. You will not be able to leave. So these are the persons that are mostly affected.
Okay.
By
let's talk about the receptiveness that people show to humanitarian services, just like the Red Cross, because it's quite pivotal that you have good reception from people before you can deliver such services. How far so far in Delta State as compared to other parts of the country?
Yeah, it's been very wonderful. As part of our safer access framework, we talk about acceptance of the individual and acceptance of the organization. If they accept you as a member of the community, and what we do, we use community-based volunteers to carry out our interventions. So if they accept you as a member of the community, they accept you to be a good indigenous of the community, they will definitely accept whatever you are bringing, whatever umbrella you are coming with. And the Red Cross is known as a sure sign of hope. The history of the Red Cross dates back to 1859, when we had a battle of Solferino, where a Swiss businessman, the founder of the Red Cross, Sir Jean Henry met the aftermath of the battle of Solferino, where over 40,000 soldiers were sick and wounded. And as a result of the inadequacy of the army medical team, they were unable to cope with the numbers of casualties on ground. And so since then, Henry advocated for a national relief society that will come, that will help as auxiliary, that will support the army medical team in the event of any emergencies, to bring assistance, to bring succor to those who need it. And since that time, 1859, in 1862, when he published a book titled The Memory of Solferino, that actually brought about the Red Cross into existence in 1863, the Red Cross has gained international recognition and acceptance. You'll be surprised that when you are driving into the communities, you will see them red, that's our slogan anyway. So you see red, I'll say cross. So you see red, I say cross. You see them shouting red. There was a day I was driving along this Onitsha bridge, and there was a lot of red.
Reception is nice.
Reception is nice, and when you hear that, you see there's this bubble in your heart, and yes, what we are doing, people are actually recognizing it and they are appreciating
Clearly,
it. And this is what is keeping us going.
Clearly, you've been recording success so far. Reception is nice. You've been reaching out to people all around. But I know it's World Red Cross Day, but I want to look at other humanitarian groups too that might want to do good, just like the Red Cross is doing. And I know that the Red Cross also involves itself in training of such groups here and there.
Yes.
What secrets should they gain from or should they take from the Red Cross in ensuring that they provide such humanitarian service like the organization does?
One of our driving principles is the principle of humanity. The Red Cross is guided by 7 fundamental principles of humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. And of all is humanity. We are out there to serve humanity and not to serve system. You understand?
Not to serve system.
Not to serve the system.
What is system?
But to serve humanity.
System?
System is, this is how they do it. You understand? But humanity, you are driven by the needs of the people. You go to a community that have been greatly impacted by one disasters or the other. The system will tell you every household will get 5,000 naira. But when you get to the community, when you get to the field, what you are seeing tells you 5,000 naira will not solve this problem. If you give somebody 5,000 naira, you are not only telling the person, just go and do whatever you can do. But you have not actually addressed the needs of those people. So we serve humanity. We are moved by human sympathy. When we see people in their need, it moves us. We may not have all it takes to attend to humanity, but we coordinate. That's where other partners come in. There are some persons who don't have this acceptance or reception per se in this community. May not even know the terrains. We are on ground. We know the terrain. We are calling for partnership. Come and partner with us. Like Swiss Aid, they don't know Isoko South, they don't know Ndokwa East, but we are on ground. They send us, give us communities that are greatly impacted by the 2022 flood, and we gave them the communities. They came to the table, we had a dialogue, we had a discussion. These are the needs of the people, and they were able to support, and we reached out to them. And whatever support we give, like I told you, humanity is our driving force, we actually go back to confirm if what we told our partners we're going to do, if we have actually done that. Are you giving the right set of persons this food stuff? Are you giving the right set of persons this food item? The person that benefited from this shelter and board, are they the right people? Are they registered? Do they fall within the criteria or the selection criteria? All these we do, and we are calling on all Nigerians to come in partner. There are some persons who want
Francis
to
actually asked you about the reception from Deltans, and you said it's been so good in Delta states. What about volunteerism? Do we still have Deltans or Nigerians who come to the Red Cross and offer to volunteer their services?
Yes, we do. We do. We have volunteers trooping into our office on a daily basis. I receive calls. I want to volunteer for the Red Cross. And the first thing you ask, why do you want to volunteer for the Red Cross? Do you know what?
What?
Majority of them, they want to japa. And
what do you mean they want to japa? The Red Cross?
Many of them want to japa, and
as an international organization that you are.
From the last 2 years, where people going out of the country, at the time we saw them coming in, and one day I took my time to ask, bros, will come. Why is that you have this urge? Say, bros, let me tell you the truth. One of the interview I went to, the requirement they get that you must have rendered voluntary service with the Red Cross.
Oh.
Say, wonderful. Is that so? So is that why you came?
But is that so, right?
You may check it out, you understand? But we still have people with genuine voluntary spirit. They actually out to render voluntary service. They see the plight of humanity as what they should show that yes, I have what it takes, but I don't have the leverage to go into this community. So let me partner with the Red Cross.
And that resonates with your theme this year. I give with joy, and that joy is my reward, isn't it?
Okay, the theme actually is keeping humanity alive.
Okay.
Keeping humanity alive. Look at me and say, what will you do to keep me alive? If I am hungry, I don't have food to eat. Do you think I'll be alive for the next 3 days if you don't do anything, you don't give a helping hand? That simple heart of kindness, that's kind gesture. You resume your office in the morning, you have not seen him in the morning, and you stroll to his office and say, bros, how far? I've not seen you this morning. That act of kindness alone is a morale booster that will keep humanity alive. Let me tell you one story. I don't know if time will permit us. There was this young man that had 100 naira. He was frustrated and said, I'm fed up. I'm going to use this my 100 naira to buy this momoy, this leaf wrap momoy. I said, after eating the momoy, I'm going to commit suicide. He bought this momoy and climbed on a tree, ate the momoy and threw down the leaf. And the rope we already set was going to commit suicide. But as he threw down the leaf, there was one young man looking very thin and haggard and saw the leaf and picked it up and said, thank you, God, for this leaf. At least I see leaf to eat today. And the guy started showing the leaf. And the man who was up there said, what? If I ate the content and this is somebody eating the container and thanking God for the container, then I must leave. Okay. So that's an act of kindness. So from that day, the guy knew that if I can reach out, if I have 100 naira, I can spend 20 naira, I can spend 50 naira to reach out to a neighbor who do not have. It will keep humanity going.
All right. Speak to us about some of the challenges that the Red Cross have faced or they're facing in delivering aid or assistance to people and to communities.
Well, in this part of the country, especially in Delta State, we've not really had much challenge in the area of reception, acceptability, and the rest. But the challenge we are having is we do not have our own readily available fund to implement projects. If we are not supported by donors, and majority of the donors, if the headquarter doesn't launch an appeal, a DREF, a disaster response emergency fund appeal, then we may not be able to render assistance. So we do not have our own readily fund. We established by an act of parliament in Nigeria. The Red Cross movement worldwide was established in 1863, and in Nigeria, here it dates back to 1917, when the Adamu Rishepli was staged with a view to raise funds for victims of the First World War. And then it was registered by an act of parliament in 1960 when Nigeria gained our independence. So since that time, we're supposed to be the baby of the government, funding us and the rest. The government are trying, we're getting 1 or 2 support, but we are calling for more. If we get more, if we partner more with people, individuals can also come around. You want to celebrate your birthday, instead of calling a big party where you give food to people who have enough food to eat, you can go to the orphanage home. You can go to the aged people's home. You can say, let's see those persons who do not have what it takes to live a meaningful life. Let's see that my 100,000 I want to use to cook half bag of rice for these people. Let me channel it. Let me channel it into this community, and you see. Sorry to say, when we went to one of the communities to distribute cash, a middle-aged woman, that lady should be in her mid-60s, and she said, and I cried that day. She said, since my life I never see this kind of money once. How much? 61,000 naira. And we ask her, what did you do with the money? Say, my pikin, if I tell you what I do with the money, I see they shop the money for original in our words. Another person said, my daughter who was in primary 6, who was to enroll primary 6 exam, I don't have money to enroll her, but I was able to enroll that child. I was able to start kerosene business. I sell kerosene, I sell granite in front of my compound, and that is keeping me going today. That child, after writing primary 6 exam, will always remember that it was the Red Cross. It was through the fund given to her mother by the Red Cross that saw her through primary school.
I know you mentioned about the Jacques syndrome thing, but I want you to help us with some of the misconceptions for the part of the people as regards Red Cross Society.
Well, people see the Red Cross as a springboard. That when you come, you say, I'm a Red Cross volunteer. Maybe you apply to any of the international organizations, you just present your certificate and off you go. It's far more than that. We have Red Cross volunteers who traveled out of this country. They're in UK, they're in Canada, they are still working with the Red Cross. These are volunteers with true spirit of volunteerism, and they are out to serve humanity. One of them sent a photograph to me yesterday, putting on the British Red Cross attire. I said, well, that's good. This is what we want to preach. Okay? So don't see the Red Cross as a springboard, but I get what I want. It's not what you want to get from the organization, but how you can partner with the organization to reach out to the most vulnerable in our society.
Okay. How do you envision the future role of the Red Cross in responding to emergencies and disasters?
Well, I want to say that I look forward to a future where we will be able to have good resources to respond almost immediately to emergency. Because as it stands now, if there's any emergency, we have to respond with our own local resources and then put forward our report and appeal to partners and national headquarters. But if we have an envelope fund, which I'm actually looking forward to, you have an envelope fund, a warehouse fund, that when there's an emergency, it will save a lot of, it will save lives a lot. We'll be able to reduce fatality rate, we'll be able to reduce vulnerability, and we'll be able to build capacity and increase resilience. Because one thing, why most persons that are affected by one of these disasters or challenges, why they are greatly affected, is because they don't have capacity. And that is what the British Red Cross is helping us to do now in Oshimili South.
Okay, thank you so much. It has been a very robust time having this conversation with you. I would say congratulations.
Thank you so much.
To you as you celebrate today in your own way. And perhaps we expect more from the Red Cross. And we know that your duty is one that affects the rest of us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
And
so
happy
very
Red
much.
Cross Day.
Thank you so much. So please go out there, show this act of kindness. That little kind gesture, that little smile, that little concern about your neighbor is the heart that will keep humanity going. Please keep it alive and let it shine in us. Thank
The
you.
words from Trainer Charles Arimono, the Branch Secretary, Nigerian Red Cross Society, Delta State. We're glad to have had you this morning. And we have been talking about humanitarian services, even as we celebrate the World Red Cross Day with him this morning. This is Morning Ride on Delta Television. We have more coming up right here on this particular program. Do stay with us. More Agenda, which stands for meaningful development, opportunities for all Deltans, realistic reforms that enhance peace and security, would be a joke if we have a deformed public service delivery right here in Delta State. Every other time on Morning Right, we talk about the nation and things bedeviling it. But if we do not look at what is going on in Delta State, then we too would be comedians and clowns cracking jokes just on TV set. Well, this morning we are set to have a conversation with one who is a round peg in the round hole as far as this conversation about public service is concerned. With us is Executive Assistant, Public Enlightenment, Projects and Policies of the Delta State Government. He is Mr. Olisa Ifejika. Good to have you on set this morning.
Good morning, my brother.
The Red Cross said it's okay to have a handshake, so.
Wonderful it is always.
Good morning, sir.
Right.
Welcome to Morning Right.
Good morning.
Our conversation is the More Agenda, strengthening service delivery. That's the conversation. So blessing will be the latest first. I'll be a gentleman now.
Okay, to ensure maximum delivery of services to the people, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has decided to reawaken Compact Servicom in all ministries, departments, and agencies of government. What informed this decision?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know that in everywhere, all climes, politicians come, occupy positions, and leave. And when they come, the nuances of governance, those in government get from them. So the public, when they come into government, it is the public servants that teach them what it takes to handle files and all of that. I'll tell you one short story to start. Somebody I knew, a professor who came from the university to be a commissioner sometime, this idea of when funds, you have funds, and at the end of every year, the rule is that whatever fund you did not spend, return to the treasury of the state. That is the rule, that is the instruction, particularly for Obasanjo's era. And the man being a complying man, he knew how much was left unspent towards the end of the year. And about the middle of December, he started telling them to please make sure that you do what you're supposed to do all the memo will sign, and that this amount will returning to the treasury of the government. And for about 1 week, the civil servants were dilly-dallying, putting that together, and he kept hammering on that. Where is this file? Let me sign up for it and all that. Till about 2 days to the deadline he gave, they walked in according to him and said, "Oh God, this is the way it is done. This is the way it is done. This is the way it's done." And they said, "So why didn't you tell me the first time when I mooted this idea?" They said there was a particular guy who knew how to do that. And the guy was on vacation. They had to recall the guy. Luckily for them, he was close by. He was in Ghana, holidaying. They had to call him to come and do what they call retirement of all of that. He was able to put all those things in place, and that money wasn't returned to the treasury. It wasn't. They found a way of deploying all the money into some places, put them in places to ensure that that money wasn't returned to the treasury. And the commissioner screamed and said, "You want to put me in trouble?" The saw guy, you can see it was tidy. And he told him, "You know what?" He said, "You have taught me. Next time I won't need you." He said, "Next time I won't need you, and I know what to do." So that's the power of the public service. He had this intention of complying with the rules, returning money to the treasury. But there they were. So in other words, they point the way. And so for everything government is doing, put all the roads there, put all the infrastructure, water, build the schools, health services, and all that. If there is no good service delivery, it is nothing you're doing. If you put all the money there, and what we're saying now is that for those of us who were old enough to see Buhari and Idiagbo in government those days, there was this war against indiscipline that was there. And people were complying. At bus stands, you see people, they will queue. At post offices, the banks, they will queue to take their turns. Nobody will be there to tell you. But that was the spirit. Compliance and doing things well. So what this administration of Sheriff Oborevwori is saying is that apart from providing all this, we want a responsible, a transparent, a corrupt-free public service. Of course, public service is like your place now. They know the core civil servants. They call them the civil service. Then added to the parastatals and NDAs and the agencies, they make up the public service. So the public service is being urged now, being told that you serve the public, and you as a Deltan, you have the right to be served right. You have the right to be served right. It becomes to be very pronounced in places like the hospitals, where you go to get service and you're not treated properly. Servicom is saying, if it's your responsibility to serve somebody well, you must serve well, because government has provided the facilities for Deltans, and it will be painful to government if the services provided, if this facility provided, people are not enjoying it just because one person is not doing his job, the other person is not there on seat. One classical reason, yesterday I was somewhere. I was somewhere inside government house, and I was addressing a few persons, and I saw two people that was talking. I thought they were still there. At some point, I now asked her, "Where is this person I saw before?" She said she had gone for school run. School run. School run is not in the lexicon of public service. It is just hanging in the air. But some persons, even those who are grandfathers, whose children are not there, they do school run. It's a guise to just, that's the religion of duty. They stay away from work. And some will leave at 2, I'm going for school run, they never come back. And there are fines to be treated. And the contractor who has done some job perhaps for those for the contract awarding offices, the contractor has done his job, he has pursued his processes, and just one man to sign for him. The man has gone for school run, and he wouldn't come back. Those are the things we're talking about Servicom. Okay. Servicom says, for God's sake, service delivery, you must deliver the service to the people, and you have a right to complain when who's supposed to serve you is not there.